Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Dawson. Welcome to Leader Talk. This show is proudly brought to you by Brainiact. Each week we are meeting with incredible leaders from around the world to discuss all things leadership and business insights. Each person coming on this talk show has given up their valuable time for one very clear purpose: to give back to small and medium business owners. Today, Gus Arianto and I are fortunate to chat to our guests, Colleen Callander and Shannah Kennedy. Colleen has a 30-year retail career as former CEO of two top Australian fashion brands, Sportsgirl and Sussan. Shannah has coached top athletes, CEOs, and high-performing executives, empowering them to achieve their goals. Colleen and Shannah are authors of Elevate and co-founders of Human Elevation. And they are both here to teach us how to be great leaders, build high-performing teams, and the importance of personal growth and development. Welcome to the show, Colleen and Shannah.
Fantastic. Thanks for having us here today.
Thanks so much. It's great to be
here. We look forward to learn from both of you. We look forward to learn.
It's going to be a fun hour, but before we do go into our questions about leadership and, helping the business owners, we do have our fun 2 icebreaker questions that we have for you. And the first one is, what's one thing both of you absolutely must do as part of your morning routine? And I think we'll start with you, Shannah.
Okay, well, both of us have a very, very strict routine, and that is the 3 M's. So every day for the rest of our lives, we're going to do the 3 M's, which is make our bed, move our body, and do some mindful breath work. And that's really how we want to kickstart our day on the right foot. So that's something that we do both. And we have done for a very long time, and it really, really supports us.
Wow.
That's incredible. So both of you do this as part of it. Is this the first thing in the morning? Like just...
Yeah, as soon as you wake up, make your bed, go out and move your body for an hour. We both walk a lot, so we walk most mornings, and then do some mindful breath work before you touch your phone and open up for the day.
You make it sound so simple, yet it is just one of those things that we should all really get into routine, right?
Yeah, it's simple. It's actually not difficult. It's just, if you just do it, like brushing your teeth, and you don't worry about what the weather is, and you just get those clothes on and walk out the door, you're already winning.
Amazing. And what about, can you both share a fun or interesting fact about yourselves that perhaps others may not know? And I think we'll start with you, Colleen, this time.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest thing I was sort of thinking about. I'm not sure I'm that much fun really when I read that question, but anyway, a lot of people know a lot about both of us. I think the fun thing I can think about is that I'm Italian and I do not eat tomatoes, I do not eat olives, and I do not eat salami. So my father tells me I'm not a true Italian, but I would differ. But yeah, that's my fun fact.
Oh, that's amazing. That's probably some of my best foods, but that's incredible. What about you, Shannah?
I know, she's so funny. Well, I don't think I'm fun either. We're sort of asked each other, do you think we have a fun fact? But I suppose mine is, everyone thinks, it's all about health and well-being for me. But I used to be a bit of a bikie. I had a motorbike. I had the black Bettina Liano leather jeans, and I used to ride in a bit of a gang every weekend down the coast with all these men with beards and stuff. It was just so bizarre. So, yeah, I did that in my 20s, which is just really odd, actually.
Incredible. And, I did give a brief intro to both of you at the beginning, but it does not at all cover your professional backgrounds. So we're hoping if you can both share a brief overview for our audience so it can set the tone for our conversation for the next hour about your professional backgrounds. And I've taken this from your website and how you became 2 women, 1 mission, elevating humans. So if you can go into that as well, that'll be amazing. So perhaps over to you, Shannah, to start that.
Yeah, fantastic. So, for me, it's been, working in corporate sport. That was my big base, and working with elite athletes and doing sponsorship and watching them compete and becoming friends with their coaches and their families, and really having a bird's eye view into high performance at its best at Olympic level. And from there, I married my job. I was very, very passionate about working as hard as I could, because I thought the more I worked, the bigger the badge of honor that I could put on my chest, and that cost me my health. So By the time I was 20, I'd already done full burnout with chronic fatigue that really morphed into a deep depression. And that started me thinking, you know, who am I without my job? And then who is the athlete without their job? And who is the business person without their job or their business? And it's a really scary question for people to ask. So I studied life coaching 20 years ago and opened my practice to coach people on who they are, really solidifying who they are, where they're going, how they're going to get there, and building a life plan outside their career or their sport plan. So it's been 20 years as an executive high performance coach and writing books. Elevate, which we have written together, is my 8th book with Penguin. So I've been very busy and speaking on stage for the last 15 years. And, you know, it gets a bit lonely at the top. It's lonely working in your own business too. And I think as women in our 50s, we decided to collaborate. But Colleen can share that story and how that came about.
Thanks, Shannah. Please do, Colleen. We'd love to know.
Fabulous. Well, as you mentioned, Natalie, I've had 30 years in the fashion industry, and that really for me started at the age of 16. And I started on the shop floor as a casual job at the end of my year 11 school year. And I loved retail so much. From the minute I walked through that door, I worked all summer. And at the end of that break, the area manager said to me, "Hey, Cole, we'd love you to stay on with the Just Jeans team. We'd love to offer you a full-time sales assistant job. We think you've got potential." So I was pretty excited about that, someone telling me those words. So I ran home and announced to my parents I wasn't going back to school and finishing my year 12. I wanted to go into the world of fashion. I wanted to go into retail. But don't you worry about me. I've got potential. And I remember in that moment of conversation, my father said to me, "Be passionate, love what you do, work hard and never give up." And they're the words that have stuck with me for my whole life. They're the words that I've tried to apply to every area of my life. So I won the battle. I started on the shop floor, 16, turning 17, and I did what he said. I worked very hard and I was really passionate. And at the age of 18, I was the youngest store manager in the company. At the age of 20, I was the youngest area manager overseeing 16 stores in country Victoria. And by 24, I was running the state with 54 stores. And that's where I stayed for the next 4 years of my career. And then I got a call from Sportsgirl in 1999. And they asked me to join them. And little did I know when I said yes that I'd spend the next 20 years of my career with the organisation, and 13 of those as CEO, 6 years at Sussan as CEO, and 7 years at Sportsgirl. And then in March 2020, Shannah and I do our life in decades, our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, and I was going into my 50s. What did that next decade look like? And so for me, I started Mentor Me Women. I'm very passionate about women in leadership. I also wrote my book, Leader by Design. I was a little bit lazy. I only wrote one. Shannah did 8, but I was busy running a company. But I loved that process. And then Shannah and I were talking about, on our walks, because we love to walk, what can we do together? And what started out as let's do a fun keynote has now turned into this incredible business called Human Elevation. And we've written our book together called Elevate. And we are so, so excited and so passionate about it because it brings all of our, 50 collective years together of our skill sets into one book to really be able to help business owners, leaders, but really anyone on the planet that wants to elevate in their life or their leadership or their longevity.
That's wonderful. Just human elevation, so our audience understands the business. Can you just tell us what you do? I'm curious to know more too, and I have no doubt that our audience does. Could you just expand a little bit on it, Colleen, please?
Sure. So there's a whole lot of things that we do. We do keynote speaking. We do masterclasses, whether they're online like this or whether they're in person. We run a full day immersive program, which is probably our signature program, where we go into companies. We spend the entire day with teams, and often we'll go through different levels of the organization. And we work on the life leadership longevity pillar. And it's really important that all of those are working together, not just our life, not just our leadership, but we're doing all of this great work for the long term, for the long haul, without burnout. So we're really teaching them skills and tools and tips to be able to elevate themselves. And, we draw on all of our own personal experiences. But the thing about human elevation is that every single human on this planet can elevate. And I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that through today, but everyone has the potential to elevate. Often it's just finding the extraordinary within each of us to be able to do that. And then the other really exciting thing that we do, which we love, we always wanted to build something into our business that we loved. And Shannah and I have walked a lot together. And so we now walk the world with women. So this year we have done a Camino trip in Spain and a Japan trip. And we take 10 to 15 women, and we do lectures each morning, and we coach as we go, and we're teaching all of these life and leadership skills for women, and not only us teaching them, but them teaching and learning from each other. So there's a whole number of things that we do. And of course, our book, Elevate, which is the most exciting one because every single person in the world can buy a book. Not everyone can come to one of our keynotes, but we're really passionate about changing people's lives.
It's amazing. It really is. Shannah, I want to ask you, with this 20 years of experience as a master life coach, you would have done a lot of amazing coaching, met amazing people. Could you elaborate how coaching people like top athletes, CEOs, executives has influenced perhaps your approach to empowering people, elevating? Because the whole topic is going to be about elevate today. And that's an incredible professional background. So we'd love to learn from you.
Well, thank you. And just to add to Colleen's story, how we met was I was actually her life coach for the time that she was in the CEO seat. So coming together as human elevation, the story is, the CEO and her coach have come together to collaborate. So you've got all of those skills. So it's a really exciting story, just our story, I think, at the end of the day. But to your question, working around sport and athletes, it's all about high performance. Everything is done to fine-tune everything. And through the book Elevate, we brought the whole lot in, which is what are the high performance habits? But how do you empower yourself to fine-tune your habits for big impact? And what elite athletes do is they never make big changes. They might fine-tune the way that they breathe or the way that they run, or fine-tune the way they hit the ball. They never actually make a very big change. And so we really need to bring the lessons that we're learning from sport and bring it into the business world. And that's what we're doing. We're sort of saying, well, how do as an athlete fine-tune themselves, which we'll talk about a bit later. But sport has been an incredible background for me to think about how can we bring it into our everyday life? What are some of the habits and traits and characteristics? And how do we bring it into teams within businesses? And so Colleen and I have been teaching that to her team for a long time. So coming together, it became very natural to put a high performance layer over everything that we do together.
Shannah, can I ask you a question? When we think about, when we talk about high performance athletes, it's nice. I can picture, the Olympians, all the sports athletes, the Collingwood players, my team that won this year. But it's, it's kind of exhausting when we actually want to apply it to ourselves, this fine tuning, this working. In your book, Elevate, you talk about, longevity. In your experience, before touching it too deep, do longevity actually exist when you actually talk about continuous effort to be a high performance? It feels like high performance have time in it because someone need to sleep. Someone, I wanna eat donuts. I don't wanna eat cucumber every day. What's the concept? What should we learn from this? When you talk about high performance, but also we want to enjoy life. And when I look at both of you, you come across so energetic, passionate. You achieve so much. It feels like it's not too much hard work. So it must be some recipe.
Yeah, there is, and it's in the book. And we talk about, it's great question that you've asked, Gus. So it's about, we're all athletes. We're athletes of life. We're athletes of business. we don't have to be a track athlete. And when we put our athlete hat on, it's like, wow, you know, we need a vision, we need some goals, we need to work on our habits to get the results that you want. And if you want to eat donuts in the afternoon, that's great if that works for you, you know, and it's not, you're not having any sabotage and side effects from that or whatever it might be. So it's asking people to really own their life. Longevity is really important because in your career, we find that people are burning out too quickly and we're losing really great people in businesses and in industry, and a lot of women get very burnt out quickly. So we need to have high performance recovery, and we can learn that from athletes. They really respect recovery as much as the performance of their job. And so when we think about high performance, we're thinking about high performance sleep, high performance rest, high performance, you know, filling that oxygen tank before you put the mask on to help other people. So we're talking about high performance living, leadership, and longevity because we want to enjoy our life, and we are all addicted to achievement, but we need to find fulfillment along the way in what we're doing and enjoy the journey and not just burn and churn and tick off all of those goals and end up, you know, exhausted and leaving. So we think that the three pillars are equally as important.
Amazing.
Thank you.
And Colleen, before we go into another topic, I just want to stay on your professional career as well, because as you know, as CEO for Sportsgirl and Sussan, you've had leadership roles for most of your career. Are there specific lessons you've learned that you can share with small and medium business owners listening today? Because if there's anyone we want to learn from, it's going to be you. It's an incredible professional career.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that. Well, you know, the wonderful thing Shannah and I talk about in this life journey is that we are always learning. So there are many, many lessons we've learned along the way and ones that we're still learning today. But if I think back, the lesson that I learned from a very young age, Natalie, was that the power of people. And, you know, many business owners and leaders think that their competitive advantage is their strategy or their product or their processes or their innovation or HR, whatever that might be. And that is all part of the mix. But I always talked about my advantage as being the power of people. And that started, as I said, from a very, very young age. And so for me, I tipped it all upside down. We do some weird things, Shannah and I. We don't look at life sometimes the way other people look at it. And I certainly didn't. I looked at it as people with purpose and passion equals profit, not the other way around. A lot of leaders, a lot of CEOs start with profit first. But that wasn't me. And that's why I had Shannah as my coach. That's why I got Shannah investing in my team. That's why I invested in people, because they are your greatest asset. And I really
sorry, Colleen. Sorry, Colleen. Can you repeat that? Can you repeat people and
people are your greatest. People with purpose and passion equals profit, and people are your greatest asset. And you know, I always thought about it as creating an environment where people could shine, where they felt valued, where they felt connected, where they felt that their work mattered. And I always used to say, I wanted people in my organization to feel bigger than just the seat that they sat in, because when they do, that's when the really amazing stuff happens in your organization. That's when people feel inspired, empowered, and when they really do incredible things. So I really encourage all leaders and all business owners to think about the power of your people. And because at the end of the day, those people have a very real impact on your business and your success and your bottom line. So I always put people at the heart of everything that I did, right at the center of every decision that I made.
It's an incredible thing. And I think it's for a lot of listeners, it's going to be a interesting thing, because profit, making money as a small business owner does often come to the forefront. They've got bills to pay, they've got families to feed, wages. So flipping it and actually focusing on their people. Colleen, is there anything that when you say focusing on their people to build them, what is that about? Like, how can we focus on our people to build them up, to love working for us as much as, say, the business owner?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, profit is important. Okay. I ran 2 iconic brands for 13 years that were highly profitable, and I wouldn't have been there if they weren't. Okay. So money's important, profit's important, margin's important. All of those things make the world go around and make businesses fantastic. But what I would think about is creating a place, as I said, where I used to call it the circle of safety, right? Because when people feel safe, they also feel inspired and empowered. They feel like they can share their opinions and their voice. They can share their ideas. They can take risks because they know I'm in this circle of safety, that if I try something new and it doesn't work, I'm not going to get thrown under the bus and someone's going to use me as a scapegoat. Or so it's really about creating an environment where people can bring their best self to work, where they can play to their strengths, where they can be the person that they want to be, and most importantly, share their voice. I think that's really important, because a lot of times leaders and business owners think I have to have all of the answers, and that's actually not true. I was an expert at nothing, right, as a CEO, but I had amazing experts around me, and I allowed them to do their job and do it really well. And that was the success of the organization.
Colleen, can I ask you a question? When we want to create passion, in our team, we might understand if it's, Sportsgirl, big company, or Sussan, big company. But, I'm running a small business, just say, a plumbing business, just say. And we don't have too many people. By the way, I'm not running a plumbing business. Just say I'm running a plumbing business, and we don't have too many people that can create this environment that we talk about. We start early in the morning. I have to work as the boss, and I also have to pick up the phone, and 4 of my employees have to run around. How do we apply the concept of your theory and in the book that I agree to a business that is running around like this, to create the passion of people when most of my employee is actually just want to make money as well, because they need to pay their mortgage, for example.
Yeah. No, we all want to pay our mortgage, right? I get that totally, but we're also wired for human connection. And so I would say that as much as we're running businesses, and it doesn't really matter what it is, build true human connection with the people that work for you. Because when you value them, when you care for them, when you're interested in what they're doing, when you're asking them how they're feeling and how they're going and what you can do to help them do their job better, then they feel connected to you. I always talked about, yes, people felt connected to the Sportsgirl and Sussan brand, but ultimately I believe they felt connected to me as their leader. So I think it's really about just creating true human connections, caring about the people that work for you, because they will give you their blood, sweat, and tears if you care for them.
So true, isn't it? So true. And tell us about the book. We've mentioned Elevate. Tell us what inspired you to write this particular book. Because I know, Shannah, you've written a few. Colleen, you mentioned you've written one, and now we've got this new one that's everyone should read. It's on the back on my shelf. It's definitely one that I'll be reading. But what actually inspired you to do this one?
Yeah, well, as we said, I mean, you can very clearly hear Shannah's wheelhouse. Shannah's one of the leading life coaches in Australia. She's all around vision, values, health and well-being, self-care, all of those wonderful things that have only really in the last few years come to the forefront in organizations. But we were doing this back 15 years ago, caring about the person first. So, that was a really special time for us to be able to see what that did in an organization. Mine is culture, brand, people, leadership. So we have these very strong pillars and very strong passions and very strong work ethics about what we do. But we both know there was a big piece missing, and it probably came more to fruition during COVID, where we were having lots of burnout. More so than we ever had before. As you know, Shannah's had chronic fatigue. I had burnout in 2007, a very long time ago now. But, we absolutely see what happens when people don't make themselves the asset, when people don't look after themselves, when people are not leading in their own lives. So when we talk about leadership, it's not just leading other people. It's actually, how do we lead ourselves? So we put the third pillar, which is the longevity piece, which is how to prevent burnout, how to build self-care and without feeling selfish, how to celebrate your successes, how to build fantastic habits into your life that support you in business and in life. So we believe these are the foundations of true success and fulfillment. And you need all of them. You cannot have one without the other. You can, but you're going to have very short-term success and very quick burnout. So we've brought them together because we are so passionate about changing people's lives. Shannah's been changing people's lives in her role for years. I've been changing people's roles in my life for years, even though it's a fashion brand that sells clothes. So we're super passionate about that. And we really want to be able to share all of this knowledge, this wisdom, our successes, our failures with other people to be able to really help them live their best life. We wish we had this book 20 years ago, but we don't. We didn't, I should say. We've got it now, so we really want to share it with the world.
Shannah, I have a question for you based on what Colleen said. At the end, as Colleen said, we have to look after ourselves first. If we want to build a successful environment, build a successful connection, start with us. How a lot of small and medium business owner across the globe right now will be under duress with the current economic situation that happened in the world. Where do we start? If we based on the book, and we haven't read the book, many people will know, the book is called Elevate. But if you can give us a very quick, where do we start? We are under stress. I'm burnt out. I don't know where to do. I can't do the 3 M's in the morning. I sleep literally 2 a.m. every morning, finishing my financial every day because many people late pay our business. And where do we start? Where do we start? I'm burnt out. I don't know where to start. I will buy the book, but what do I start tomorrow morning, Shannah?
Okay, great question. So another part of the book is we put the performance layer over the top, which empowers people to start. And part of the book is at the end of every single topic, it says, what do you want to stop doing that is no longer working for you? And what do you want to start doing that is going to support you a little bit more? And what do you need to keep doing that's going to keep you moving forward? So what do you need to stop doing that is sabotaging you right now? Is it, you need to learn how to breathe? Like if you're working that late, like that's running a marathon every day. Every day you're running a marathon. And if you want to keep running a marathon tomorrow, what do you need to do to make sure that you can? So it could be learning to breathe better, master the basics, make sure you're eating and just walk around the block. It doesn't have to be big. It actually needs to be quite small, but something that you think is, wow, if I want to keep showing up like this until I'm feeling better or the economy changes or things settle down with interest rates, how am I going to survive? You need a survival checklist, a little survival plan, which is, yes, I'm just going to walk around the block to get some air and clear my head so I make a better decision than just being so reactionary. Maybe when I wash my hands, I take 3 deep grounding breaths to calm my nervous system down so I can go back to the computer and not make mistakes. So really putting that high performance hat on just with the simple stuff is actually very, very powerful.
And do you find it when you coach? Yeah. Can I get more on this? Because we understand what you're saying, and I think a lot of people understand that. But in the thick of things, when we are on that burnout moment, on the wheel of we are exhausted, we don't know what to do. Back to your own story when you are in that, or even now, I'm sure you have a lot of students that facing this. Is it really working by adjusting and stopping things that?
Absolutely, it works. I mean, Colleen has done it. We have both been through being at the bottom of the barrel. Colleen driving to work with the window down and the air conditioner on to stay awake. That burnt out. For me, I married my job. It was 7 days a week, sports always on the weekend. So there was no day off. We both have raised children at the same time. We've run our businesses. We've held our marriages. We've stayed healthy for the past 20 years because of these very small habits. These small habits are about saying, I'm hanging on by a thread and I really need to build the base. And when you learn to breathe properly and just calm yourself down, We watch it with sport when people get really overloaded in a tennis match and they're losing every point and they're hanging on, and it's actually their breathing. When they calm themselves down, they reframe the story that they're telling themselves and focus on controlling the controllables. Just focus on controlling what can I control in the next hour. And I teach this all the time. And in COVID, I remember I had 600 people on a Zoom one day teaching them how to take 3 breaths when they wash their hands, to put the sticky note on the tap, to write on the mirror 3 breaths, to remind themselves that with 3 breaths, we can just become a human being for a minute. And it's very, very powerful. And it's what we see in Olympics. They are breathing, preparing for their races. And so if we just start with some of the basics, they're the most powerful, I believe. And Colleen and I do them all the time.
And this is what I like listening to both of you, because there's nothing so sophisticated that we have to work on. It's actually what you're saying is, hey, high performance athlete need high performance sleep. I thought that we coming to this session waiting to listen that you will give us 100 steps of becoming a high performance. You're actually talking about, hey, have your sleep, have a better food, have a better break, have a better habits. That's what you call. Yeah.
And it's all about only small changes, changes. It's about saying, wow, just the way I eat, could I improve that 1% every day? Or do I need 5 coffees? Maybe I'll just cut it down to 4. Don't just go, oh, quitting caffeine, I'm just going to go down to 4. Or I'm going to bed so late, maybe I'll just try and go to bed half an hour to an hour earlier, and just start moving towards, the direction of how you want to be operating. What is your ideal self, your role model self telling you, just so that we can keep going.
And Shannah, can I ask, would this apply to stressful situations in business as well? The breathing, everything that you've said now is not just, if we're at that breaking point and we don't, we can't go on. In stressful situations, business owners find themselves in these situations probably daily. Would the same principles apply in these situations?
100%. Before we walk onto a big stage, it's all about breathing. If there's a crisis happening around us, it's about breathing. Something happens to your parents or your kids, or a deal or an email that comes in that just is full stress alert, we must sit and breathe. We must just regulate ourselves so that we can make a better decision, and we can maybe reply without, going off tap. So really it is a power skill, and you get much better results. So high stress needs high performance breath work, which is a much greater out breath than an in breath. And we see it in sport all the time. Everybody watches sport, but they're not picking up what are the habits that they have that really work.
Yeah, you've made me think about the whole athletes and, their recovery after, because they do have a nice recovery after. We sometimes don't even have time to pat ourselves on the back for everything we've achieved in a day. So it's that mindset, isn't it? Would you say it comes down to one's mindset? And
well, it's honoring the process of high performance. So Roger Federer doesn't finish an 8-hour match and just get in the car and go home and go to sleep. He sits on the bike, he ices his legs, he refuels with the right nutrition and rehydrates himself, and then has a massage. That's called high performance recovery. And the same with all the Collingwood footballers. They're having quarter time break, half time break, 3/4 time break, and then after they're icing themselves, they're getting their rub down, they're rehydrating. We are the same. We're exactly the same. We get up in the morning, the world is super fast. We're trying to be all things to all people. We're juggling family, we're juggling our businesses, we're juggling our health and our marriages and our kids and our friends and everything, and the world around us, and the breaking news every 5 minutes. It's huge. It is a marathon every day, and we need to be like athletes, warm up, small little breaks, and we need to cool down properly so that we can show up and do it all again the next day.
And if I can add to that, Natalie, thinking about it in the context of leadership, we don't want to work for leaders that are stressed out and angry and exhausted and chaotic. And we want to work for leaders that are calm and confident, because that gives people calm confidence themselves, right? So we always talk about all roads lead to self. Confidence starts with self. Great leadership starts with leading yourself. We can only be good to others when we lead ourselves and when we're good to ourselves. So we talk about it as, and when I hit burnout, I describe myself as a red Ferrari, but a red Ferrari that had never put air in the tires, petrol in the tank, pulled into the pits, right? No car works that well if we don't do the basic fundamentals. For us as humans, if we don't do the basic fundamentals for us as well, we are not going to work very well. So it's all about, we encourage people to think about keeping your tank full, because when your tank is full, you have much more to offer. You are less stressed. You have much more clarity. You are much more focused. You have much more energy. So, but that starts with you. So we always bring it back to self, which is really the whole premise of Elevate, is you can elevate in every part of your life, but it starts with you making the change.
Yeah. Colleen, I have a question for
Right,
you. When we talk about, you mentioned about at the end of the day, we all, in the context of running a business, profit is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Profit. And unfortunately, there will be our audience and, wherever they are, that currently having a challenge in the profit department, And then you also say that purpose and passion, purpose and passion. People with purpose and passion will create profit. The reality is right now, for some of us, the profit is not there. I have to come to work. I have to go to my team and see them like this, knowing that my profit for the month coming will not be there. I've been working after reading my book, Elevate. I've been working on my life. I wake up with the 3 a.m. I eat good food, sleep well, but the profit not there. From the leadership point of view, and from your experience, how do I come into my team as the way you mentioned it before, the one that is calm, collective, because I also want to build people with purpose and passion, knowing that my own business is underwater right now, like the situation. How based on your experience, what should we do? We can't fake it too long.
No, it's a great question. I'm sure there are a lot of companies and businesses and leaders under duress right now. So I think there's kind of two parts to that answer. The first thing I would say is ask yourself why. Why is my business under duress? Why are we not making money? Where are the challenges? Are my expenses too high? Is my rent too high? Are my margins too low? Do I have too many staff? Do I not have enough staff? Is my product good enough? Have I been as innovative as what I wanted to be? Does my brand connect with the customer on a deeper level than just selling them something? There are a whole lot of questions I would ask before even starting with the people, if that makes sense. So I would always say, if your people are fantastic, which they should be, because they're your biggest asset, and you're not making a profit, then there's other levers that are not right within your business. So the first thing I would say is identify what those levers are, because it's often not just one thing, but there will be one big standout on what is draining your business. I work with people, Shannah works with people, they're making all this money, but not making any money. They're doing sales, but no money. Well, their expenses are way too high. You've got to cut those right back if you want to make money. So there are very basic fundamentals that a lot of businesses forget about. So we always come back to simplicity and focus on the basics. You can never go wrong focusing on the basics.
And Colleen, staying on this leadership topic, personal growth and development for leaders. So important, yet when, small and medium business owners juggle so many hats, they often overlook their own personal and professional development in their own growth. What's your advice to them on this? Those that are really pushing that. I mean, I can already see perhaps this will lead to stress and burnout, but when they don't prioritize themselves in these avenues, for anyone listening now, what is your advice to them?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing I would say is to set some goals for yourself. You know, goals is a high performance habit. It's one of the chapters in our book. And, you know, once we decide those personal goals, the next thing we need to do is write them down. And that's the thing that Elevate also does, is you write all the way through the book, because when we write things down, we're actually committing to ourselves. So I would say the first thing is, you know, set up your goals. What are they? What are the things that are really important that you want to achieve? You know, I always say to people, we can get up and just let life happen. We can let business happen and it all just goes on around us. It's not going to stop. Or we can get up every day and have a clear plan, clear goals, clear habits. Where are we today and where do we want to get to tomorrow? And that really starts with creating a plan for yourself, writing it down, committing to yourself, whether it's your health or your confidence or your relationship or your finances, whatever it might be. You know, Shannah and I are really quite, as we said, we tip things upside down and we're a little bit weird sometimes. That, you know, I've written in my handwritten diary, not a computer diary, handwritten diary for 15 years that I'm going to walk every morning, because it has some effect on me that says, you've just promised yourself you're walking today, so you're going to get up and walk. But I do it every day anyway. But there is this real commitment. So I would really say that, you know, leaders and business owners could often say, oh, I don't have time for that, right? I'm too busy running my business. I'm too busy being busy. And so how do I set personal goals? How do I worry about my habits and my health and my relationships? Because I'm trying to run a business. And we always say to people that tell us that they don't have time for their own personal pursuit or personal goals, then it's not important. It's just not important then. Yep. Because if it's important, we make it happen. As a CEO, going to my kids' concert was important. I made it happen. As a CEO, picking my kids up, you know, 2 times a week when they were little was important. So I made it happen. Building a healthy relationship with my husband so that he still loved me 20 years later was important. So I made it happen. So when we say it's important, we make it happen. And when we make excuses for ourselves, it's either not important or we're just too lazy to do it, essentially, at the end of the day. So really set your goals around things that are important, and don't try and do too many. As Shannah said, keep it simple. You know, 3 goals. That's really all you need. And that's in the book, 3 goals. And often that's 2 professional and 1 personal goal, and focus on those. You know, we talk about, you know, what gets measured gets improved. So if we don't have goals, we're never improving. But if we have goals, then we're going to improve on those goals as we go through life's journey. So really important to really think about your personal pursuit and what goals are going to get you there.
I like this because we all have time to write to-do lists. I know I do have my daily to-do list, and it's a matter of just reshaping that to include goals. Isn't it? Just changing the way we think about things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And on this, Shannah, I want to go back to, we spoke about mindset a little bit, but mindfulness, you know, does mindfulness play a role in leadership? Is this an important aspect for small and medium business owners? Because I think it's something that often doesn't get discussed or even thought about, really.
Yeah, it's a power skill, isn't it, mindfulness? And it's about enhancing your self-awareness. So Gus's question to Colleen about how do you show up when we're not making a profit? Well, I know, because I coached Colleen for a long time, that every time she walked into that office, it doesn't matter what the profit was. She believed in the team. And, okay, we're not having a great week because it's been raining all week and nobody bought dresses, but we're a team and I believe that we will get through this, and let's focus on what we can control and what we can do. So it all comes down to mindfulness and being very aware of how other people are thinking and how other people are feeling. And mindfulness is all about focus. And where your focus goes, your energy flows, my favorite saying in the world. So if we're going to focus on all the negative, that's exactly where our energy will go. If we're going to focus on what we can control and where we want to head and what we can focus on today, then we can always move forward. So for leaders and teams, it helps you manage stress a lot better, and it improves communication because we're a bit calmer when you're mindful, because you're very present, you're very aware, and empathy can come in. And I think with a lot of leaders, they lack empathy for other people. And when we practice mindfulness as a skill, about being present, about being aware and reading the room properly, I think our leadership quality absolutely goes up, and more people choose then to follow you.
And can I just ask, Shannah, because I did read, being mindful is something as simple as, this is how I kind of described it as, you know, walking the same path every day, but noticing something different. Is that what being in the present means? Because I want these business owners to understand that it's actually not that hard to do.
It's called focus. So a lot of people will taste the first sip of wine and not even taste the rest of the glass. So the challenge is taste the first 3 sips, you know, focus. It's a muscle. So mindfulness is a muscle of focus. So we can notice all of the different greens on our walk. There's so many different shades of greens, and I often challenge myself actually to look at all the different shapes of leaves that there are. And what happens is your brain then forgets about thinking and catastrophizing around stress, and it focuses on something and fine-tunes something. With athletes, mindfulness is imperative. So the Collingwood footballers, they need to smell the grass. They need to feel the stadium. They need to touch the grass. You see them all touching the grass. That's mindfulness. That's getting really present with where they're at. Not thinking about, what if we lose the match? What if we win the match? What does that mean? They need to stop the brain from catastrophizing or going forward. And to bring it into the present moment, we have to tap into sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, your 5 senses that you're born with. So smell, you know, is really important. Touching things, really important. Listening to the crowd, you know. And when we go for our normal walk, it could be just listening to the birds. It's that simple. It's actually a muscle that we constantly can fine-tune. When you wash your hands, you can smell the soap. And the whole thing makes your attention to detail heighten.
Yeah. And I totally agree with Shannah. I have my own experience. You know, we as leaders, we don't have 24 hours for our team. We have a lot of people to talk throughout the day. And I can actually tell the difference when I start my day, you know, with a very healthy, conscious, passionate day, energetic day, and I spend 5 minutes equally with a person compared to a day where I'm under duress. Even when I'm not talking, the same 5 minutes someone talk to me and I'm not responding, the body language of my body able to connect more when I'm in the zone. When I'm in the zone, I don't say anything, but maybe the smile is different, and maybe the people feel appreciated, you know, compared to I'm listening to them, but I'm thinking about the prophet, Colleen. I'm thinking about the prophet, and then the whole thing, like they both get 5 minutes.
We all know what it feels like to talk to someone while they're on their phone, right?
Yeah.
It's not present. They're not focused. Even watching a TV show on the couch and your partner's on the phone, it just ruins the experience. So mindfulness is just about being fully present with where you are and in experiencing life for what it is in that moment. And it's as simple as that. And it doesn't have to be some thing that we have to go and study for 2 years or read 6 books on. We just need to start by tapping into our senses that we already have and gamifying it for yourself. Like I use it as a bit of a game. It's a gamification of my health and well-being is, can I smell the soap? You know, what does that smell like? Can I really taste the 3rd sip of the coffee like I would the 1st sip? And when we gamify it for ourselves, well, it becomes fun.
You do make it sound like a lot of fun, and we can see the energy with the two of you. I have no doubt that this book is just a combination of such great journeys. But we do have to ask your business, Human Elevation. What's next? What have you got planned, and how can small and medium business owners get involved?
Well, we have lots planned. We keep adapting to the environment, to the economy, to what's happening in business. So our thing is, you know, we're available for keynotes to come into your team, and we've got 18 different topics to choose from, or the 3 pillars, life, leadership, and longevity. We have masterclasses on them, or we have a full immersive day where everybody gets to write their own elevation plan. So we don't come in and just talk. We actually ask every participant to walk out with their own plan of what they're going to stop doing, start doing, and keep doing, so that they feel empowered. It's like a footy team. You don't come in and give everybody the same strength and training drill. Everyone has to create their own depending on what position they play within the business. So we will talk about the principles. We will talk about how to do it. But each person actually needs to then take ownership of it, say, how do I apply this to my job, to my role, to my life, and then write down their plan. So it's really exciting. So there's keynotes, masterclasses, days, and also we do walking tours.
And where can we go for more information?
Yeah, you can just head to our website, which is www.humanelevation.com.au, and all of the information's there, and there's lots of links to all the places you can buy the book, all of the online places, and of course it's in all of the bookshops. We're super excited that it's out there, and we really, really hope that people embrace the book, and we really hope that they can elevate through this, but really most importantly, change their life and live the best life, and the one that they really deserve. We all deserve the best life. We're all only here for one shot, and we really want to help people elevate in their life, their leadership, their longevity, and make that life the most amazing one that they can have.
And we have this. We do the word of the year. So elevate can be the word of 2024 that's up on your wall, on your mirror, and we can all do it, and we can all take a step up in how we sleep, eat, lead, build a brand, build a culture, change our health, our celebration, the way that we celebrate our life every day. We talk about celebration in the book, and as teams, leaders need to bring in celebration. So our invitation, Colleen and my invitation to everybody out there, is just to give themselves a word of the year, which is elevate, and just try and apply that to everything that you're doing in life.
Fantastic. Natalie, can you just, I know you lucky enough to have the book. Can you show the book to our audience? Now, I have a question. This important book called Elevate.
Oh, here we go.
I'm a book reader. I have more books than what I read. My wife get mad around this. Can you just guide us, Colleen? If I have the book right now, how should I read this book if I want to be effective? Because when we read the book and and there is page in the book say write your goals. My goal changes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, at 7 o'clock tonight, and tomorrow morning. And then the book become messy, and then I throw the book away. How we utilize this important coaching books so we can elevate ourselves in 2024? Any tips for us?
Gus, we wrote this book for you after that comment, because what we have is not only can you write it in the book, but there is a download on our website. So you download your plan for 2024, and it has your life, your leadership, longevity. What are you going to keep doing, start doing, stop doing, dot points. And when we see it, as Shannah was saying, it's a high performance overlay, a high performance athlete overlay. We have things on the wall. We can see it every day. My health. Oh, that's what I remember to keep. That's what I remember to stop doing. That's what I'm going to start doing. So it keeps us on track. The brain needs a map. It needs to be constantly reminded until it becomes part of the way we live our lives. So yes, there is a download, but do the book from start to finish. Go through every chapter, write in it, really make it this personal, awesome journey for yourself. It's a great self-awareness piece. And then download the worksheet, the planner, and fill it out and put it on your wall. And I promise you, if you do that, your 2024 will elevate you to the sky.
Thank you. I can feel that as well.
Gus, before I hand over to you to wrap up, our audience clearly wants more, but this is a 1 hour show. So I'm just going to ask Shannah and Colleen one piece of final advice for all our listeners who still want more, but we will keep it to a 1 hour show. If you can give them one piece of advice today, whether it's from your professional journey or from the book itself, what would you say to all our listeners today?
Who's going first? Cole?
Yeah, I would say for all of your listeners, firstly, you are all amazing, incredible, wonderful human beings that have unbelievable and extraordinary potential. But we need to believe in ourselves and tap into that. We all have what we need right in here. We just need to tap in and get it out of there. And the other thing I would say is that all roads lead to self. No one is going to come and tap you on the shoulder and do it for you. All roads lead to self. Your confidence, your leadership, your habits, your goals, the way you show up. And that means putting in the work. And none of you listening have got where you have today from not putting in the work, and that work never ends. So the more work we put in, the more we work on ourselves, the more we have to offer for other people, and the more success and fulfillment we have along the way. That was a long-winded answer, but there you go.
Wonderful. You got plenty of love hearts for that answer. So wonderful.
And I would say my biggest piece of advice is master the basics. You know, we go off looking for all of these new angles and shiny things on objects out there to help us feel happier and better and make the business better. But a lot of people have neglected the basics. So for 2024, go back to the basics. You know, the basics of your business, the basics of running your team, the basics of what makes you happy in life, and really try and master it and put the focus on doing the basics really well. And secondly, I would say learn to celebrate, because life is pretty tough out there at the moment. Colleen and I have a culture of celebration. You know, we high five each other through the screen every day when we see each other, because as we know in football and all sport, if we don't celebrate all of the small wins along the way, we won't get to the end of the game and win the premiership. So if we're not celebrating the smallest win, that you went for that walk around the block, or you sent that email that was really hard, or that you went through some conflict and got through it, or that you promised yourself you wouldn't eat a donut and you didn't eat it, and you need to celebrate that you're honoring yourself. And so we talk about celebration in the book. It's something that we're both incredibly passionate about and we practice every day. It's just the art of celebrating your life, because it's a beautiful journey, and it lightens the load a lot.
Fantastic. Our audience love you both, but I am going to have to hand over to you, Gus, to wrap this up. It's a tough one, because there's so much that you shared. It's been an incredible hour. Thank you.
Pleasure.
It is a tough one, especially when the topic comes from leaders like both of you, that I actually want to spend the next 2 hours listening and learning myself. And while I'm doing that, I have to write and I have to summarize all this. So I hope I do good justice by summarizing key points. But before that, Colleen Callander and Shannah Kennedy, thank you so much for donating your valuable time for our audience, for us. We do learn a lot, and we hope this 1 hour can help a lot of people all over the world through our Leader Talk channel. So we started the conversation. Shannah started by saying, my success journey is coming when I start asking, who are we without our job? Then Colleen also started your journey by starting from believing that you got potential and never give up, and also investing in your passion on leadership. Then we talk about the one thing about human being is we all can elevate. We can elevate by focusing on life, leadership, and longevity. We all athletes of life and business. And being athletes, we need to be comfortable to be in the high performance zone. But remember, as Shannah said, the high performance zone is not only applied to one area called work. It includes enjoying the high performance sleep. I will remember this. We need to be able to enjoy high performance sleep. Colleen, you mentioned also people with purpose and passion will equal profit. At the end of the day, all our audience are all business owners, and we want to be comfortable in talking about profit. Hence, elevating people and ourselves to work on our passion and purpose is key to success. Passion of people happen when we build through human connections. Remember, your small habits can either elevate or run you down. Work on fine-tuning your habits. You work on this by doing small changes and working on the things that you can control. Goal is a high performance habit. If it's important to you, then you will make it happen. Elevate is about working positively on your life, leadership, and longevity by fine-tuning your habits, by working on what we can control and where we want to be. And remember, learn to celebrate. Thank you again to Colleen and Shannah for donating your time for us all. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much for having us. It's been great.
Thank you. It's been an incredible hour. I know I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our audience has as well. And thank you everyone for tuning in. For more information on Leader Talk and for some great resources to help your business grow, check out brainiact.com.au. Bye everyone.